My name is Peter Horwood, also known as Madman Pierre. I'm an entrepreneur who lives in the Airdrie, Alberta, Canada region of the world. And this video is to tell you about a product by the name of Verbarrator. Verbarrator is a tool to help you learn your Spanish verbs much better than many of the alternative ways of learning them. Let me tell you a bit about myself. I've been a businessman for many years now, and I've started several companies through the years. As a result of that, I have the opportunity to travel around the world. One of my favorite places to travel is to Latin America. I also have done volunteer trips with my family to Mexico about once a year, and we continue to do that and plan to. As a result, I have a desire to learn Spanish, and for the last 3 years I have been learning Spanish, and I've been applying what I learn when I go on trips to Latin America. Over the next few years, my goal is to become fluent enough in Spanish that when I'm doing business or when I'm doing volunteer work in Latin America, I don't need a translator to do that work. It's a long-term goal and one that's going to require lots of practice, but it's one that I'm committed to doing. Verbarrator is one of the tools that's now in my toolbox, and I'm very impressed with it, and I'm very pleased to have added it to my toolbox. So I want to tell you a bit about the product and help you understand whether or not this is a product that you should be buying. So I'm going to start by first of all telling you about some of the people, actually all of the people, who shouldn't be buying the product. The first one is obvious. If you're not trying to learn Spanish, the product's not for you. The product is designed specifically for learning Spanish verbs. Second of all, if you are just trying to learn enough Spanish that you can say hola and a couple other phrases like that, you should be getting a tool like Learning Spanish Like Crazy Level 1. And that will give you the basic communication you need for vacation in Mexico, vacation in Spain, whatever, to be able to say the basic phrases. And you can go as far as you want to with that. Thirdly, if you're the type of person who learns a language the first time you hear it, and I've only met one person like that in my life, but if you don't require any practice, you hear it, you know it, then again, Verbarrator is not a tool for you. However, for everyone else that's trying to learn Spanish, so whether you're a beginner, whether you're an intermediate or an expert, Verbarrator, I honestly think, is a tool that you will find well worth the very low cost. If you're a student, whether you're in high school or university, being able to use it to create practice drills to help you learn the material that you're supposed to learn for school is going to be great. If you are planning on vacationing on a regular basis or doing business or doing volunteer work in a Latin American country, being able to speak in the native language will be of assistance to you, and Verbarrator is a tool that will help you to do that better. Or maybe you're thinking of doing a move to a Spanish country. Well, again, Verbarrator, I think, is a great tool for you for that. So let me talk a bit more about it. First of all, I've got version 1.1 right now. I started with version 1.0, and I was one of the 1,000 lucky people who was able to buy it before they sold out. The idea of version 1.0 is, as far as I can tell, to get the product in the hands of about 1,000 people and have all of us use the tool to see what we thought about it and to give suggestions on where it can go. I initially did a review of 1.0 a few days ago, and when the people at Learning Spanish Like Crazy took a look at it, they noticed that I had 3 complaints. The first complaint, they politely showed me that when I installed the product, I had skipped by one of the questions and I had made a mistake. And so my first complaint or suggestion wasn't valid. The other 2 suggestions that I gave, they told me that they have received those same suggestions from several other people, and they plan to have that in version 1.2 of the product. One of those that I'm looking forward to is the ability to have the lessons, when you've created them, downloaded to an MP3 player or iPod, so that you can then practice them while you walk, while you jog, while you're standing in line, while you're driving. Those are all areas that I do and use to practice my Spanish, and I have found that it has helped me dramatically to do so. The second one is they're doing some things that will allow the tool to remember you and remember the lessons that you like, remember your preferences, and give you those in the next time you load the product. So what is Verbarrator? Well, first of all, you have to understand in Spanish that Spanish verbs are declined. What that means is that each verb has many, many forms of the verb, and those forms of the verb change the meaning. So for example, in English we would say, I eat, you eat, she eats. And basically the word eat stays the same. In Spanish, however, those are three different words. They take the root and they make an adjustment to the root. Also, there's different tenses. So for example, past tense, I ate, present tense, I eat, future tense, I will eat. In English, we use 2 or 3 or more, in some cases, words to express those tenses. In Spanish, you use one word, but you change the ending of the word, or you change some other part of the word to make it clear as to which tense you're using. To learn that, for me, takes practice. And I think for almost anyone learning Spanish, it's going to take practice. That means if you're interested in learning Spanish, you're going to have to practice. Well, Verbarrator is a tool designed to practice, to help you practice, and to practice in a way that's the most efficient for you. I have some of my tapes, lessons that I go through from time to time, and one of the problems I have is the ones that I've done in the past, I might know 80% of them, and maybe there's 20% that I need to practice. The problem is they're not customized to me, and therefore I have to do all 100% of the lesson to get the 20% that I need. Well, Verbarrator gives you a way of practicing your verbs, but only practicing the ones you need. So, for example, you can choose which verbs you want. You can pick from the popular verbs, or the ones that I refer to as the must-know verbs. You can pick from the verbs that have specific endings, the AR, ER, or IR verbs. Those are the 3 different declensions that are called regular ones. Or you could choose from the irregular verbs, the ones that don't follow the rules. And in most cases, from what I've seen at least, the ones that don't follow the rules primarily don't follow them in the present tense. And so that leads to the other thing you can change. You can change the tense. You might only have present tense that you want to go through, or you might have one of the other tenses, or you might pick several of them and say, well, I want these 5, and I want the lessons to be based on these 5. The next thing that I ran into is that when I first do a lesson in a traditional lesson, the gaps are too short. I'm scrambling to try and get the right words, and it's right on the tip of my tongue when they give the answer. Well, when I'm new, I want to have that extra time to be able to figure it out, because I learn quicker each time I figure it out on my own. But then that same lesson, when I come back to it later, is so slow, because there's a long gap for the ones that I don't know. So I like to be able to, depending on my type of practice, change those gaps. If I'm just doing a quick refresher just to remind myself and keep something fresh on the tip of my tongue, then I just need short gaps and I want it to go bang, bang, bang. If it's something new, I want to give me the time to learn it properly. So Verbarrator does that. It gives you the ability to change the amount of time for each of the gaps that you have. There's several other features that are in the Verbarrator product, and I recommend you look at them. Now, it's pretty clear that I recommend the product for everyone who is learning Spanish with very few exceptions, and I think the cost is really worth it for the product you get. You might be thinking, though, how much is Peter getting paid for this review? The answer is nothing. If you go to my website, www.madmanpierre.com, you'll see I do other reviews, and I've never been paid for any of them either. I do this as a service for my friends and for those that know me through my books, my articles, and whatever. So I believe I'm unbiased when I say I strongly recommend this product, and I think that if you're serious about learning Spanish, this is a tool that you'll use when you're a beginner, an intermediate, expert. You will use it until whatever day you decide you're not going to learn Spanish anymore. So I strongly recommend that you go to Verbarrator.com, sign up for their list, and when the product becomes available, you should buy it.